Anyone else stuck at home right now? Whether you like to make videos or not, it suddenly became the most important form of communication we have. It's our way of reaching out to the world, getting our message out there, whether you're a small business or just trying to connect with your friends and family. I'm gonna teach you how to make great videos with nothing more than your phone. Anya has learned a brand new salad recipe that she can teach all of you. She did teach you on Instagram if you already follow her. You don't have to be making a cooking video. I just thought it was a good example of showing a series of steps if you want to be teaching something to other people. Regardless of which phone or camera or apps you're using, you can use all of these techniques, but the easiest way to do it is using today's sponsor, Spark Camera, where you can basically record and edit at the same time. If you don't have Spark Camera, that's okay. You can still follow along using whichever apps you prefer, and like even the default camera app can do the recording. And go.
We're doing it. We're turning the IG story sensation of me cooking a quinoa salad into a full-fledged production. The
way we're gonna do this assumes you have no external microphone or lights. Those can drastically improve your production quality, but they're not necessary to do a good job. Just know that you need to be in a bright area, and the closer you are to the subject, the better they'll sound. That makes a huge difference, even more so than an expensive microphone. Just get close to the person speaking.
So I'm gonna start by choosing and picking the things that are going to take longest to make. This will be our quinoa, and the chicken is already in the oven. So I'm gonna put this on, and then we're gonna move on to the next step.
An important step before you hit record is just make a few notes about where you wanna go with the video. If you don't plan at all, it can become a mess. I've done that before. I just use my notes app, point form, really basic, like where do I want to go in this video? These notes are for what I'm going to talk about here. While you're shooting, keep in mind the old saying, show, don't tell. Videos are a visual medium, and if you just wanted to talk, you might as well have a podcast. You can always just record talking head footage like I'm doing right now and then insert photos or something on top of it, but I prefer to keep shooting stuff in the real world that represents exactly what I'm talking about. A few things to notice that we're doing here. Every time she mentions an ingredient, we are showing it relatively close up, but changing the angles. The same thing for a long time gets relatively boring, so I like to keep some variety in there. As you're moving the camera around to show different things, here's the approach that I typically take. I don't move the camera during a shot very often, unless it's following some specific action, but typically I'll just shoot one thing, stay in one place, end the shot, and then go get the next shot. And each of those should be quite different. If there's only a small difference between shots, you get these weird jumpy cuts that just don't feel great. So have big differences in angles from the side, from the front, further, closer. But if you're doing that all with your camera in one shot, it can get a little bit nauseating. Hold off on that if you can. Now we're gonna take a moment to just review what we've shot, make sure that it's all working. And because Spark Camera lets you live edit, we can go through all the footage and start trimming things right away. So if you missed a shot or screwed it up, you can go back and fix it without waiting until you're on the computer later. Once we've got all our footage, we'll go do a detailed edit. I mean, it was nice to clean things up along the way, but now we want to really make everything precise and watchable. And before we edit, one more thanks to Spark Camera for sponsoring this video. They really are my favorite way to quickly shoot and edit on the iPhone, and they've been a great company to work with, very supportive. So I appreciate them, and I hope you guys do too, by clicking that link. Now let's get into it. The metaphor in Spark is all circles, so my project looks like a circle. If I hit the edit button here, I can see circles for all of the clips that I've shot. First, for any clips that have multiple takes, we have to choose one. So this first introduction, Anya did it twice. I like to go by a rule of thumb that while I'm recording, I'm only ever gonna use the last take. In fact, I'm doing it right now. If I make a mistake, I redo it until I get it right, and that last one is the one I'm gonna use. It's so much faster when you're editing. So I can either grab the clip, drag it to the trash, or I can open it up, which is usually how I do it. There's a trash button in the bottom here. And this is the clip where she got it right, so I'm gonna listen to what she's saying. She had a little false start. We're gonna remove that. Great, and once we've done that, we can swipe over, go to the next clip, shorten it too. And guess what? You're gonna go through the whole thing doing this over and over again.
2 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar, 1 tablespoon of honey, 1 tablespoon of oil. You can use canola, olive, but we're going with avocado.
If you're new to editing video, I'd recommend trying to make things move pretty quickly. Have really small gaps between clips. They get boring fast. If nothing's happening on screen, keep things moving along. I like to think of it as respecting the viewer's time. They're gonna spend some time with you, but you have to appreciate that their time is valuable and they may not want to stick around if you're not providing useful information.
2 tablespoons of freshly squeezed orange juice, roughly 1 teaspoon of mustard, and a dash of garlic salt.
Oh, I just realized I filmed this one quinoa pouring clip out of sequence, so I'm actually going to go back to this main screen and I can grab it and move it towards the front where it belongs, right after opening the box.
And now mix it all together. So we normally buy a box this big of arugula, but we only use half of it.
Here's a trick. Sometimes you recorded a longer clip and you actually want to split it into 2. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to choose approximately what I want from it. Then I press this duplicate button. Now you can see it's moved it over. We have 2 versions. This first clip will be the first time that she grabs arugula. And the next one, move a little bit later. If we go back and preview it, we can see it's this like 1-2 punch of boom, boom. Keep things moving.
And then we're gonna add some chopped cucumbers.
Sometimes you end up with multiple takes. I like to try to delete those extra takes as often as possible while I'm shooting, because you know when it didn't work. And when you're editing later, it takes a little bit longer to figure out what was the good one.
I usually cut my cherry tomatoes into 4 slices. And most importantly, 1 avocado.
Let me turn that down. While you're going through, it's good to balance the audio between clips. Try to make sure that annoying sounds are turned down, and when people are speaking, it's turned up. So that may mean you go through the whole thing, all of them going up and down just a little bit.
Crushing some walnuts. 2 cups of quinoa, but we're only gonna use about 1. So before adding dressing, toss the salad to mix everything together.
You can see what I'm looking for is what's the one thing that each shot is all about, the primary action that explains what just happened here. I don't need to show any more than necessary. It can be an interesting exercise to watch videos or movies that you like and count how long each shot is on screen. A lot of the time it's shorter than you think, like 1 second is actually sort of long. 3 seconds is an eternity.
Now I'm going to add the dressing, but only about half of what we made because I don't want it to be too soggy. And now you want to toss it again. Toss it. This makes about 3 servings of salad.
Awesome, we are done a rough edit in just a few minutes. It's pretty close to being ready to publish. Let's add a few details like music. You can either choose something from your iTunes that is local, saved on your phone, or they have a bunch of stock music that is licensed already so your video won't get taken down on YouTube or wherever else you want to put it.
So we're gonna put the chicken on top for presentation, and voila.
And we can balance that audio a little bit using the mixer. I would always turn the music down quite a lot. You do not want it to be too loud so that you can hear what the person is saying. And then you can actually just swipe to the side to add different filters. An interesting fact, I believe that Spark Camera is actually the first one to do that swiping to add filters that is now ubiquitous in every other app we use. Like Snapchat, Instagram, it was actually invented here in Spark Camera. Now let's say it's all done, hit export, and we've got a cooking show. If you're not using Spark Camera, don't worry. Most editors work in kind of a similar way. This is just more streamlined and I like it. But if you want to learn more about video editing, I talk about it all the time on the podcast. Go to stalmanpodcast.com where we go way more in depth on all these topics. Thanks for watching, guys, and thanks Anya for the delicious salad. You should follow her on Instagram for more recipes. I don't know if there'll be more recipes, but she's been doing an awesome IGTV show where she interviews business owners about money in this new world of everybody staying home. Crazy times, but very interesting stories coming out of it. So I hope you guys enjoy it, and I'll see you in the next video.